Hey guys, Lawman here for another late night deck profile, and as you can see from the title, we are looking at Blue Flare in the BT13 slash Rising Wind format, but with a brand new level 6 that actually helps you kind of stun your opponent even harder than usual, surprisingly. Um, as you can see, we're actually running Amphimon, the new level 6 from Rising Wind. Originally, I thought this card was actually not that fantastic, but then after reading what it does and what Blue Flare kind of already does anyway, which is, well, the older Blue Flare, you could strip sources a lot. And in this case, we actually can now. So pretty decent. The fact that we can just do that and then just like bottom deck their stuff now with the level 6 is actually pretty strong. But yeah, no, this deck is actually really good. Like you don't even honestly like most of the time you don't even need Zeke to go for a game. You already kind of stun them to the point where they can't really attack anyway. So yeah, it's pretty solid regardless. Let's get into the deck so you can see what I'm talking about. First for eggs, we are still running the 4 Wanyamon. Wanyamon is just real like one of the best blue eggs that has come out recently in BT11 because this is used in Ulforce. I use it in my prototype blue hybrid build. That's going to be that I'm going to be doing a deck profile later on once the list is legal, basically. I run it in I believe also another blue deck that I have built. I think Imperial. I do run it as well because it's just so good. Because the fact that when attacking you have a tamer, you can just get a free draw is really strong compared to like the older ones where you had to fulfill a very specific condition. But with blue, you're basically always going to need a tamer out at the time, so that actually triggers this pretty easily no matter what. But yeah, we run the 4 copies of Wanyamon. Pretty solid. For rookies, we of course, this being Blue Flare, we of course have to run the 4 Gaussmon because Gaussmon on deletion gets you a summon, which is suspended, but you get to search if it's a Greymon, so pretty good. Then we run 4 of the newer Gaussmon from EX4 because whenever you play out something, you basically, like usually with this one, you want to push it out, then play a Metal Greymon, go to 0, and then you get an extra draw off that. Then we have, surprisingly, this is specifically for the matchup against Royal Knights and other basically mirror matches against like Crossheart and other stuff. This card does hurt you as well. That's the only downside because it says all turns players can't reduce any play cost. It also affects you. So when you want to swing, you're gonna have to swing this and have it die so that you can actually do your plays. Because if not, you're gonna have to pay the full cost of the Digicrossing. But this does help against, as I mentioned, against other Digicrossing decks, and it also hurts Royal Knights incredibly. So I like running it. And yeah, that's basically all the rookies we run. We run exactly 10, which actually is pretty solid, and we do see it often enough to the point where we don't really care half the time. Most of the time, the best possible starting turn for you would be Gauss plus Kiriha, because then you have a tamer setup and you have a way to basically save all your stuff, so pretty cool. Then for level 4s, we of course are running 4 of the Blue Greymon, the one that searches the top 4 cards and adds 2 cards with Blue Flare and their traits. It also has save, and when attacking, you can unsuspend if your opponent has 2 or more, so you gotta run 4 of this. We also run 4 male Bergermon. I might actually drop this down because I'm thinking of running a very specific level 5, or actually running more copies of the new EX4 Metal Greymon because it can not only rush, but it can also trash 2 cards, which can actually help you set up for bottom decking. I might reduce down this to maybe like 2 and 2, like with the other male Bergermon. Maybe just 1, but still. This one's pretty solid because on play, one of your opponents loses, basically does the, or gains the effect of when attacking, lose 2 memory until the end of their turn. So pretty cool. And then, of course, on deletion, he gives save, or he saves himself. But the effect you're going to be mostly using him for is his inherit, where he gives jamming, which basically allows your deck to just kind of go off, and it does allow you to basically survive security swings, because that's the one thing that blue usually needs is just jamming, and then they basically can do everything. Then we run 2 of the old male Bergermon. This one is basically there for the effect to, if you have a Kira in play, you get to recover a Metal Greymon, and then if is his inherit, this Digimon has Blue Flare, and your opponent has 2 or more, one of your opponent's Digimon can't attack or, attack or block until the end of the turn. So you want to run at least 2 copies. That way you can stun their board. Then we run one Deckermon. I might actually take out one of these to fit in an extra Deckermon because this one's just really solid. Sometimes getting you that extra draw, and of course, in conjunction with Decker Gray, you can stun a Digimon or end the turn by stunning something. So I honestly will be bumping this up to maybe 2 at least. Then we run 2 of the Greymon, specifically the old starter deck 1 that just gives plus security. This one is still generically good, so we run at least 2. That way we have extra security checks. And yeah, that's basically all the level 4 champions that we run. We run 8, 11, 12, 13 of them. As I mentioned, I will be maybe switching this out to add in another Decker, but for now it feels pretty solid because I don't honestly use the other effect as often as you might think. So it'll be a hit or miss depending on how it works. Then for level 5s, we of course run the 4 Metal Greymons because this one helps us stun stuff and it has Rush and it can basically save 2 materials regardless even if it dies, so pretty good. Then we run 2 of the Decker Greys. As I mentioned before, one of the main reasons why I want to bump this up to 2 by replacing a male Bridgermon is for this specifically, because not only does it have Armor Purge, but it can also stun a Digimon, so I honestly want this effect to go off as much as possible because it's just so good. And of course, it can evolve on top of a level 5 for 2 costs, so you can go to 0 and then pass to 2 and just stun their last guy, basically their whole board in the process, so really solid. Then we run 1 of the new Metal Greymon from EX4. I do want to run more of this one. I really like this one because the fact that it trashes 2 security off. I might honestly just end up replacing maybe the Cyber Launcher one with this instead, and also maybe taking out like one of these or something like that. I don't know how I'm going to fit it in, but I do want to run at least like another set of these guys because it's just so good. Yeah, and then for the last level 5, we of course run the Metal Greymon plus Cyber Launcher. This one is, I don't know, it's okay. Like I have a friend, shout out to my friend who plays Blue Flare as well. He suggested running 4 copies of this because this actually does help you kind of get rid of level 3s that can block you. It can also bounce a level 4 to the, I think, so what it does is when digivolving and on play, you may place 1 Digimon card with Blue Flare and its traits from your hand or under your tamers under this Digimon as its bottom card, then return one of your opponent's level 5 to the bottom of its owner's deck. If Cyberdramon is in this guy's sources, you can return a level 4 lower. But the thing is that because we only run 1 copy of this, that other effect doesn't really go off. It's mainly specifically to go off with mainly it's to get rid of level 3, which is nice and all, but I feel that this one, it's just okay. I honestly like the other Decker Gray a little bit more because it helps you stun more. Like, that's the whole point of this deck, is to stun and then rush for game. And then I honestly would rather, as I mentioned, run more of this, so I might take this out to add another Metal Greymon from EX4. And yeah, that's basically all the level 5s we run. For level 6s, we are, of course, as I mentioned, because of the title or the thumbnail, as you can see, we are running 2 Amphimons. Amphimon is honestly just really broken beyond belief. Like, this card, in conjunction with everything here, especially the Metal Greymon that strips sources, this one is just solid no matter what. So for those that don't know what this new card does, she's a level 6 cyborg that when digivolving and when attacking, you may trash up to 2 blue cards in your hand, which is pretty easy, especially in Blue Flare or in any other blue deck because you're going to be drawing a lot. Then for each one, you trash a card underneath either an opponent's Digimon or their tamer. So if you're playing against like a Digicross deck or basically or a hybrid deck, you can basically strip the stuff underneath them, which is really cool. And then you can return a Digimon with no Digivolution cards to the bottom of the owner's deck. So you basically get to strip all their sources in conjunction, and then you go, okay, sorry, bottom deck that. And yeah, it's just really solid. Honestly, like in this kind of build, I would also run like 1 Tommy because that way you can strip more sources. But yeah, and then it has a secondary effect too. All turns once per turn when one of your blue Digimon would be deleted by returning 3 cards with Jellymon and their text from your trash to the bottom of the deck in any order. You can prevent its deletion. So I think if Royal Knights kind of bows out, from the format, I would honestly run like maybe take out this Gauss, because the Gauss is okay, but it only gets you that extra draw occasionally, and it sometimes doesn't help. So I feel like it's better to run like maybe like 3 and 3 of like Jellymon to kind of set it up, because no matter what, you still have the guy to kind of swing and do your stuff. The main Gauss that you want is this one because it gets you more stuff, but you're still running the same amount of rookies. So you could potentially take out these and put in more Jellymon to kind of get this effect off, which actually is not that hard to get off, which is really cool. But yeah, then yeah, that's all the level 6s we run. We don't run any level 7s. The rest is just option cards and tamers. So let's actually get into that. We are, of course, being a blue flare deck, we do have to run 4 of the Blazing Memory boosts, because Blazing Memory boost searches almost basically everything in this deck except for the Chikurimons, the Greymons, and the Amphimons. These are the only cards out of the 50 cards that you cannot search. Also the options, but still, like, well, actually not this option, but the other option card specifically. But yeah, we have to run 4 because this is blue flare. Then we run 4 Sorais, because as I mentioned, this is a source stripping version. So we want to strip as many sources as possible and stun them into the ground, basically. And of course, it stops a lot of things without sources from attacking. So if you're playing against Royal Knights, this is basically the ultimate card to stop them, because they basically cannot swing for game if this is active on their turn. Then we run 1 Howling Memory Boost, because of course it strips stuff. I honestly might switch this out later on, but I'm not sure what I'm going to switch it out for. Still really solid no matter what. Like Howling, like I only run this at 1, but it's still really powerful. I also run 1 Ice Wall, because this being blue, we want that to go off. Then we also, because we have a tamer that's half black, we can run Gaia Reactor to basically wipe the board, especially if we only have one guy on board, when swinging. So we basically wipe them and they can't really do anything, especially against Royal Knights. You can basically stop them completely with Gaia Reactor if they hit it. But it does suck that it's only a 1 of, and you have to have a black tamer, so it's okay. Then, yeah, that's basically all the options we run. We run 11 options in this, just mainly to strip stuff and to basically slow down our opponent. For tamers, we're running 3 Kirihas and 3 Kiriha and Nenes. Kiriha is, of course, the memory setter and lets you grab stuff from underneath. And then this one gains you a memory if there's 2 or more Digimon. And, of course, the fact that it allows you to Digicross using stuff from the trash. So really important, because even if you lose your materials, you can still Digicross regardless. So pretty solid. And yeah, that's basically the deck. As I mentioned, you can actually take out some of these to actually incorporate more Jellymon stuff into it. And as I mentioned, I will be modifying it, taking out certain things so that it has more of a source stripping specific angle to it. But yeah, no, this deck is really funny, because instead of like going for Zeke for game, you're basically bottom decking their worst basically the worst threat that they have on the board to deal with you. And of course, Amphimon being a cyborg, I'm a huge fan of, because I love playing cyborgs and machines. Really sucks that this is the only other one that we have at the moment that's female, specifically because last time we had Jet Sylphie, and we all know what happened to her. She got restricted to 1 because she was too good. And I'm hoping they don't do this to this one, because it's still technically a rogue deck. So yeah. Anyway, as usual, let me know what you thought of the deck. Like, comment, subscribe. And as I mentioned, this is still a template that you can work off of to modify however you want to make it your version. Aside from that, that's about it. I'll see you guys next time.